Gravel and mud blasted into the rain. Stephen Mosier's El Camino went from road to ditch to road again. "Goodbye, whore," he roared out of the window, presenting his middle finger to the woman at the trailer. The baby in her arms stared vacantly as the taillight swerved down the little road and out of view. "That's what you get, Stephen," he said to the wavering rearview mirror, the road curving loosely in his vision. He didn't mean to hit her. He almost never did. But what was he supposed to do? After all, it wasn't her that got up at the ass crack of dawn, as his father used to say, and drove to the mill 5 to 6 days a week. No. And it wasn't her that had to grind metal flakes from steel parts 12 hours every night. You know who was doing that? Me, he shouted at the blurred highway through gritted teeth. If he wanted to drink 1 or 2 beers, then he would. Hell, he'd drink 10 if he felt so obliged. The mirror reflected his facial features, his unmanaged beard mixing seamlessly with his drooping, ragged eyes. He hiccuped and swatted at the radio dial, flipping automatically to the local rock station. Highway to Hell filled the car-truck hybrid, the volume already as high as it would go. He figured he could forgive her this time, and he'd come back after he blew off some steam. He did love the girl, wrong as she may be, about as much as he'd ever loved anything. She was just so goddamn lazy, which was the main issue. How could she be tired when she hadn't even left the house in months? Always something with her. His mood had started to cool down, like ice cubes dropped into hot coffee. Guilt caught in a knot in his gut, and the image of his daughter, staring as he drove off, played on his eyelids. His thoughts derailed as he spotted a police car parked in front of a church just off the road. He straightened up and grasped the steering wheel with both hands. Just relax, he thought. It's all good. His face was pale white, like a foggy glass pane, fully concentrating on keeping the wheels moving in a straight line. His heart pounded in his eardrums when the headlights flipped on and pulled out behind him. "Son of a bitch," Stephen murmured, the tension somehow stronger than the dank mildew that thickened the air. The bright headlights grew in the mirror, casting shadowing streaks against him like a detective comic strip. "3 strikes, you're out, Stephen. Hold it together." Images of court documents nagged at his brain, the first 2 DUIs following up like a grim slideshow. The El Camino vibrated violently against a highway's rumble strip, the world's most isolated earthquake within a drunken man's beating chest. Damn it, he screamed, his head light as helium. The cop's headlights filled the entirety of the mirror now, and each second multiplied Stephen's dread. His eyes, wide as dinner plates, locked onto a rusty green street sign. He flipped on his blinker and tapped the brakes, holding his breath as the car turned on the East Under Road. Come on. The cruiser drove by down the highway, past Stephen. A titanic weight lifted off the drunk man, replaced by shock and disbelief at his good fortune. Aha! His hand was slapping the steering wheel hard enough to bruise his fingertips. "You did it, you dirty dog." The El Camino shredded down the country road, filling the air with the roar of his modified exhaust pipe. It was now hitting the dash in perfect rhythm with the drums. "Highway to Hell, and I'm going down." A few miles of dark country trailed behind Stephen, and another road sign popped into view. Evergreen Road. That road led to Blackbird Road, which turned back onto the highway. He could get a few whoppers from the king himself and get back home. He scurried onto the paved shortcut as the song switched over to Hotel California. Stupid pig damn near gave me a heart attack. A nervous laugh escaped. He thought that was it for sure. Lord knows he'd been a lot drunker than this, bringing Kirsty and the baby to the doctor. That cop had actually pulled out behind him and then let him go. A sigh seeped out of his hair-clustered nostrils. He thought of his daughter, Alexis. The devil on his shoulder didn't like the baby because Stephen loved her. The monkey on his back and the devil on his shoulder agreed. They didn't just not like her, they hated her. He knew the church close to the king was hosting an AA meeting later that night. Maybe he could give that another chance. The radio roared out of nowhere, the station somehow flipping to a dead broadcast on its own. The gray clouds poured without mercy as an angry and befuddled crease folded Stephen's brow. What in the... He grabbed the tuning dial and flipped through the empty stations. It had gone from 102.9 all the way to 90.5 without him touching a thing. He finally found his way back to the Eagles. A chill touched his neck then, and he watched with awe as the dial rolled itself from station to station. Just then, something on the road caught his eye. Fuck! A huge white dog with snarling teeth stood in the center of the road. A great Pyrenees, like the one his nan had had. But this one was much bigger. and possibly bigger. His hand snatched the wheel to the side, swerving the car and slamming the brakes down. The sound of screeching rubber rumbled the air. The inside of the car roared with the chorus of his favorite Eagle song. The tires gave in and surrendered the El Camino to a series of destructive flips, with Steven screaming as his head hit the window and steering wheel. The car somersaulted down Evergreen Road like it was a flight of steps and finally came to a halt in a ditch, resting sideways against a line of trees. Stephen Mosier lay there, head spinning, blood gushing from his nose and mouth. His face was a swollen, haggard memory of what it had been before. His brain was loopy, but the adrenaline in his blood was helping him to not slip into unconsciousness. The entire vehicle was destroyed, but one of the speakers was still playing. 3 bloody teeth fell from his mouth as tears rolled down his face. He collected his strength, slid over to the passenger side of his totaled vehicle, and reached for the door handle. At first, it wouldn't budge, as if it was glued in place, but it finally gave way when he put his shoulder into it. Rain pelted his broken face at an angle, the overhead lamp casting a dim light through the car's now red interior. He looked at his reflection in the mirror, and what looked back was a wasteland. Blood covered his face like strawberry puree, and his lip was split in origami flaps. A horror-soaked moan escaped him, and his stomach churned like spoiled milk in the hot sun. He went to touch his face and realized his hand was twisted sideways, the fingers sticking out like dry sticks of hay. Stephen fell out into the muddy blackness of the night, the sounds of water and wind mixing in a chaotic harmony. He stretched up and looked up into the sky, screaming, a dull pain pulsating through his wrist. His swollen eyes fell upon the shadow of a man, standing unfazed by the elements. How could he be that tall? The silhouette appeared from nowhere, a cloth cap the only thing keeping him dry. "Help!" Stephen cried in agony, using his good hand to drag himself to the road. His fingernails first bent, then broke off as his drunk fingers searched for purchase on the gritty asphalt. He inched his way closer and closer to the man in writhing agony, his gaze never leaving the dark shape. "Please!" he screamed, but the man didn't budge. As Stephen came within feet of the man, he noticed he was holding something in both hands. "No, please!" Stephen shrieked. The barrel of a long black gun stretched toward him. My God, his eyes! Was the second to last thing to go through Stephen's mind.